What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So as we all know, Dark Knight Awakening got nerfed today. So for all of you who wanted to switch to Succession, I did a few changes on my Succession build and I wanted to talk about it. So as we all know, if you look at the patch notes, this is what has changed for Succession. Basically, Succession got buffed, Awakening got nerfed. So things that are important to look at are Ravage Rake. That is going to be one of the abilities you use like regularly. Same with Enforcement, Wheel of Fortune, Comma Slash, Lunacy, Slanted, Pervasive Airstrike, and Blooming. Those are all actually really important skills to know. And what I wanted to do was show you some add-ons that I changed around since last time. And so if you looked at my add-ons from a few years ago, it's a little bit different now. So first of all, let me go over enhancements before I do anything, just because nothing really changed from Awakening to Succession for this one. This Wrath of Vidir is mostly for HP recovery, and then Unveiled is more to gap close a little bit and combo with Blooming, and Balance, I don't really use it as much as one of those filler skills. But with that said, I guess people want to know what are some add-ons that got changed. So what we have now is the Blooming Black Rose. This one is actually pretty decent. When it first came out, it was not so great, and then it got buffed a little bit, and then it got buffed again with today's patch. So what we want to do is add this one. We had this one for PvE. Well, these are all PvE, by the way, just in case that wasn't clear. The important thing we have for Succession is mostly we want monster damage, and then we want to keep attack cast speed up. Well, cast is irrelevant, but attack speed up for as much as possible with the 8-second cooldown, and then these last for 12, so in theory you should have 100% uptime. It doesn't always work like that, but in theory you should. Unveiled Dagger, the damage itself is irrelevant. We're doing this mostly for the buff, and it gives attack speed, so you don't need another one on here. But we're basically using this as an opener, so like when you go to an enemy, you would be basically hitting the enemy with that, giving yourself a down attack and crit damage buff for 5 seconds. In theory, you should keep this up as much as possible. So it's not for damage, it's more for the buffs. Wheel of Fortune is one of your main abilities for damage, and so you should be able to hit Wheel of Fortune and Blooming at the same time. So I don't know if you particularly need 2 of them, but it's just in case it's safer to have one. We could talk about some replacements afterwards. And then once again, you should be hitting these well within 12 seconds. But for the sake of safety and 100% to make it better, you can do that. Lunacy of Vidir is probably one of the flex spots that you could swap out for like Airstrike or, Pervasive or anything else you want to swap. But I personally use this one. This one is a flex spot, all DP plus 20. Once again, I use this simply because Succession is a little bit more dangerous than Awakening because you're in melee range at all times. So whether you're PvPing or PvEing, it's a little bit safer. Also, I grind in Elvia or Zeki. I'm going for the new crystals, so that place is kind of sketch. So it really is nice to have, especially if you grind at nighttime. Once again, this is a thing you can change. We'll talk about some changes afterwards. Crit damage buff along with Unveiled. They're on a shorter timer, so in theory, you can try to keep this up as much as you can, but the crit damage is something you want to actually keep up a lot because that one's big damage. Enforcement is something that you use in Succession, but not Awakening, well, as much. So we have more attack and cast speed. Once again, probably a flex spot that you could change for like another, let's say like back attack or another crit damage if you wanted to. That's also an option. And then down attack, simply because a lot of Dark Knight abilities are actually down attacks. If we look at this one and when we filter by down attacks, that's basically almost all of them. So having back attack, down attack, and crit are very important for Dark Knight in particular. And then, so you want to have that one here. And then Spirit Legacy is your main spammable. You don't spam it, but like it's big damage. And then you want to basically debuff enemies with that one. And then you could, if you're not supposed to, you could, but you could you basically just do that, and then you could hit them with the debuff, and sometimes it works. And then back attack damage. So let's talk about things you can swap out. Each one has a different tier of skills. So for example, if you see an ability with like a 12-second timer, that's a little bit different than something with like a 5-second timer, if that makes sense. So like basically it goes by cooldown, and so people call it tiered skills. Like this one is a shorter one, whereas like Lunacy and Blooming and all these are bigger ones, and then there's medium 7 seconds. So anyway, with that said, what would I flex out if you wanted to change anything? Lunacy of Vidir, another option you could use is Pervasive. Pervasive is a pretty solid one. Airstrike is basically your mobility skill. Ravage Rake, you do use this a lot in Succession. I struggle to say Comma Slash, even though you do use it, but it's like, if you're grinding, you're going from pack to pack. If you can kill things in under 13 seconds, you're not doing it like on everything. So it's better to have like a mid-tier, something that you can refresh and cast faster. So probably like Pervasive is a short thing. Same with Airstrike and then Ravage Rake. Slanted Balance is also a good option as well, but it really just depends on your playstyle. So other abilities, let's say you chose this one. These are all different. And back in the day, we would use like accuracy up. These are for PvP if you want. I guess we'll talk about that a little bit as well. But things you could change. If you are really on top of it and you're locked in, you probably don't need 3 attack and cast speeds, but it's one of those things that you're like clearing fast. So if you have that, you don't need 3 of them. Maybe 2 of them is good. And then what you could change this for is probably like another back attack or another crit to make sure your damage buffs itself are up at all times. And of course, for PvPers out there, Succession, what you would do is obviously change the AP against monsters to human damage. And then attack and cast speed is important for PvP. And other things you would probably change is, instead of having attack and cast speed for that one, what you could change is, depending on who you're fighting, whether you're doing like 1v1 small scale or siege, accuracy rate is always a good one for literally every class. All evasion debuffing. Well, actually, those are the buffs. And then the debuffs for your enemies are always a good one. And then if you feel like you have overlapping abilities and you know what you're doing, movement speed is also a good choice for literally any other spot. You could probably flex out attack and cast speed for that. Like this one, probably put movement speed and whatever down attack as well. So that's a good option. These are still within the same timer. So it really just depends. You might want to switch out a few things, but basically if you're PvPing, you want things that buff you a lot and debuff the enemies a lot. If you're PvEing, you want to just keep your buffs up as much as you can. So like buffs are good for PvE, and the debuffs itself are less relevant, but that's about it. So hopefully you guys enjoy Succession now, because unless they tweak it, I could see Succession being a little bit better than Dark Awakening. But yeah, I'll still do a little bit more testing. If we make some more changes in the future, I'll make sure to drop in the comments and make sure it's updated. But with that said, that's what I have for today. Once again, just a few things you could change: the attack cast speed to like literally anything else, like movement speed, if you feel like you're already keeping this up at 100% uptime. And then you don't really need the plus 20 if you're like super geared, but it really just depends on where you're grinding. For me, Elvia or Zeki is a little sketch, but yeah, that said, that's about it. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. If you have any questions, hop into Discord, and I'm happy to point you guys in the right direction as usual. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.